Hey YouTube, this is Nick and my partner in crime, Ethan. We got Mr. Whiny Butt Archer with us. Archer. Yes. So as you can see, we had a few tools on the ground. Let me show you what we're doing. So we went on a trip. I posted a video of us over in southeastern Utah at Zion's National Park. We went to Vegas. On our way home, our last day home, it was like the last 400 miles of our drive, I noticed a humming noise coming from the front end of the truck. Kind of a sounded like I had like an off-road tire, like a mud terrain tire on the truck. So on the way home, I ended up stopping on the side of the road, jacked up the front end of the truck, checked on the 12 and 6 o'clock on the tire to see if there was play in it, if it was a wheel bearing. Couldn't get any play. Over the last 2 or 3 weeks, it's progressively gotten worse, and I've taken it into our local tire shop to see, exactly what it is. They can't diagnose it, or I don't know. Anyway, so here's kind of how I figured out which wheel bearing it is found a sharp corner that's banked pretty good. Took that corner about 35 or 40. You got that in the front end of the truck. The corner sweeps to the left, right? So you're turning the steering wheel to the left hard, which when you're doing that takes the weight off of the left-hand side of the vehicle, transfers it to the right-hand side if you're going fast enough. Don't wreck. Anyway, did that, and that noise mysteriously disappeared. Came back around that same corner the opposite direction, turning to the right, which then would put weight onto the left-hand side. Noise increased a little bit. So confidence, wheel bearing, there's really nothing else it could be. So here's where we're at. I apologize, I got ahead of myself. This is kind of a side note. So my wife and I are both vaccinated for COVID via Pfizer. We recently, in the last 2 weeks, became breakthroughs. When we came back from Las Vegas, my youngest son was sick for about 2 or 3 days. Thought it'd be kind of weird to have a summer cold like that. And then our daughter got sick about a day or two after that. And then I started getting sick. Just thought it was a cold until I was making chicken noodle soup, and I couldn't smell any of the onions or garlic at all. I lost my taste and smell, and that kind of scared me. So went and got tested, sure enough, positive for COVID. Everybody in the house has had it now. It's been pretty mild, the symptoms. I feel pretty crummy and down. That's kind of why I'm sweaty today. I'm still like recovering. I think my body's still fatigued from it, but we're doing good. And so take off your tire. First, obviously, jack up your truck. Some of those things I would think would be self-explanatory. So once you jack up your truck, take off your tire. Next thing you're going to take off is these two bolts right here, 18 millimeter. Those two bolts right there go into the back of the caliper right there. They hold the caliper and the caliper brackets to the wheel hub assembly right here. So two 18 millimeter bolts, pull those off. Make sure you have something to support your caliper so it's not hanging by its cords. Before you support it like that, take off, unclip all these wires that are all clipped together. You have your brake line right here. It's got all the clips on it. You have your vacuum line if it's a four-wheel drive right here. Goes to your actuator. And then you have your ABS line, which is right here. The goal is to get your ABS line out because the new bearing hub assembly has a new ABS line. So that ABS line comes right up into here. It's actually clipped into these two holes on the other side of the fender well. Just unclipped it. You can see with the other side laying there, and there's the other part of the clip that's going to come out. So now, once you're to that point, you pull off this little dust cap, which is this dude. I just used a flathead and lightly pried it out. It's not in there tight. Back out your CV shaft nut. It's a 15 millimeter. Take that off. We then had 3 bolts holding on the dust cover. Take that off. once you're to that point, I am going to, it's not necessary. Well, actually I don't think I am. I was going to take off the tie rod end just so I can manipulate this back and forth. But you can see there's one of the bolts I got to take out. Let me try to get you around here. So I got one bolt right here, one bolt down here, and then on the opposite side the same thing. We got to take all 4 of those off, and then this hub will come off, and I have the new hub right there behind Mr. Archer. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and get some of these things taken off. These 4 bolts right here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Obviously the heads are on the other side, but I'm gonna get those taken off really quick, and then I will resume this video and show you guys what I'm doing to put the new one in. They're going to be probably hard to get off, so I do have a breaker bar. They're 18 millimeter. I already have my 18 millimeter impact socket here. My impact isn't big enough to take those off. I got a little impact, so I'm gonna get after this, get these off. That way we can be done with this project and hang out. So anyway, with the wonders of video editing, you guys will see what happens here in a second. So we have got the old hub out and are putting in the new prep work. So there's the old hub. You can actually see, let me scoot it a little closer to me here. You can see that rust in there and the grease that's coming out? That's from over temp. Something I noticed here is you can see all the rust built up on this. This surface had an easy 1/8 of an inch of rust built up on it. I spent the better part of 10 minutes with this grinder cleaning that surface off. Who knows if that's why it failed before, but this bearing was replaced about 3 years ago by a tire shop that sells those tires, Mazama tires. So now what we're going to do is we got some high temp grease. We're going to take this grease and work it in here, work it on the outside edge, around the shaft a little bit, get that all greased up good, and then we will pull the cap out of the inside of this and put a little bit of extra grease around this guy, just to help it out. Now when you put this in, make sure your ABS wire is facing to the right. The ABS wire needs to be coming out this right hand side. So let me kind of show you a little bit of the grease process, I guess. Here it's going to be with my left hand. I am right-handed, so this is going to be not the most beautiful job. He's learning how to mechanic, aren't you? He's finally mellowed out a little bit. Ethan has a cousin that came over with Grandpa, and they're playing around, and I think it's helped Mr. Archer to mellow out a little bit. Okay, so get a little bit more grease up around this edge of this actuator. So this is your four-wheel drive actuator. And Ford's, it's controlled, these are Ford's, is controlled via vacuum. Kind of a neat design is if there's no vacuum, four-wheel drive is engaged. So if you lose vacuum to your four-wheel drive system when you're off-roading or out somewhere, it's going to fail to on, which is a smart design. Now, something that's neat about this too is this hub is pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty damn sure it's the exact same hub that goes in our 08 Land Rover. Ford owned Land Rover from 05 to 09, and it looks like it's pretty greased already. That's awesome. And we had a tire pressure sensor go out on the Land Rover, and lo and behold, the part that was sitting in my truck that they pulled out was a Ford tire pressure monitor, TPM, I guess they call them. So I'm just putting this on here. Imagine, you know, these are sealed. I'll probably get some grief for this. I would rather have a little bit too much grease on here than not enough. So I'm going to go through and just grease everything up here so it's meshing good. Again, I'd rather have a little too much than not enough. Get around the seal a little bit here. That'll a little bit more over on this side. And then we will slap her in. Anyway, you guys, so I mean, this is really a cakewalk job. If you've got a jack, you've got an 8mm bolt or socket for your dust shield, a 15mm bolt for or socket for the caliper housing, and 18mm, excuse me, I don't know if I said 15, and then 18mm for these 4 bolts that hold the hub in. You're good to go. Now I watch you guys, most of the stuff I research how to do this. Ford Tech Make You Loco said that that Ford recommends replacing the 4 bolts that hold in this hub. He also says that you can get around that by putting blue thread locker on it. So that's what I'm going to do. Again, now when I clean this up with that wire brush, I stuffed rags in here. You can kind of see all the rags that disintegrated and blew everywhere. I should have used real rags, not paper. But stuffed rags in there to keep the rust and debris from flying into it. I'm going to put this back together. I've only got one hand and I'm holding the phone with the other. So I'm going to put this back together, get everything bolted up, and I'll show you along the way. Thanks. So we have got the rotor back on. I'm going to take it off really quick. Show you where we're at here. So Loctite, blue Loctite on all 4 of the bolts, holding that in. I think they're torqued to like 120 foot-pounds. 20 foot-pounds for the center nut that holds in the CV shaft. And then now we'll put the rotor up and get the caliper going. I'll show you a little trick for this. So I'm going to get it up here and then I will show you the trick. One-handed, badass. So you can see how this is kicked out. Something that helps on this, because then you're going to fight trying to get your caliper over the top of it and getting this lined up. Something that can help with this is to put a nut or 2 on this booger to hold it in place. Now it does not want to go on much further than that. You can hear Archer barking. Well, I guess if you didn't have silly aftermarket rim nuts, that'd go right through. I could probably send those down a little bit further. I just don't know if I want to force anything right now. Let's see. Oh yeah, they'll go further. I was just being a sissy, I guess. You see how that's pushing that caliper or the rotor back further. So that'll hold that in place there. So we'll get the top one. To hold the top in place. There, you can see that sucking that back in. All right, so that's on there. We don't have to worry about it wiggling. Now we can take the caliper off, put it on. We got Loctite on one of those bolts already. I need to get going on it so I can get this stuff put back together without that setting up. Talk to you in a minute. Hey YouTube, it is all back together. Now, take it for a spin to make sure I got the right one. Pretty sure I did, but you never know. I am human, and I'm still feeling a little crummy. if I didn't get the right one, it was $256 for the bearing, for a lifetime guaranteed bearing hub assembly. It's between $400 to $500 for the tire shop that replaced it before to do it again. So I can put 2 new bearings in my truck and hubs for the price of 1 installation. Anyway, I hope this helps you guys. If you have any questions, comment below. I'll do the best I can to work you through it. The video I follow to do this is Ford Tech Make You Loco. That guy is awesome. He knows his stuff. He's so detailed. Anytime I'm diving into a project on this truck that I'm unsure about, I look at his stuff first. So anyway, I hope everybody is safe, healthy, and happy. Like and subscribe. Peace out, everybody.